How's it going, everyone? And welcome to the Sports Talk Podcast with your host, Alec Pecado. Today's show, as you can see, we are previewing the Atlantic Sun tournament, as well as I am giving you my final top 25 of the college basketball season. In my final bold predictions for conference tournaments. But let's get started with the A-Sun tournament preview. So the play-in games tonight for the A-Sun, the first one is the 9-seed Kennesaw State versus 10-seed Jacksonville. I like the 9th-seed Kennesaw State here to win and beat Jacksonville University in advance. Kennesaw State, they've got a lot of roster continuity, and I seem to think that's going to be key here in the A-Sun tournament. Not saying Jacksonville doesn't, but Jacksonville snuck in over Bellarmine and Central Arkansas. And I seem to think I think Kennesaw State wins this game, and they end up moving on to the semis. And then the second playing game is 7th-seeded at Florida Gulf Coast versus the 8th-seed Queens. Now, if somehow Queens wins the A-Sun tournament, which I don't see happening, they wouldn't get the auto bid into the NCAA tournament because they're transitioning from D2 to D1. But I think Florida Gulf Coast wins this game, and they move on to the next round. A-Sun bracket quarterfinals. Quarterfinal number 1, 5-seed North Florida versus 4-seed Austin Peay. This is a rematch of a game that happened about a month and a half ago between North Florida and Austin Peay. And I think North Florida learned from their mistakes of the last time they played Austin Peay. And I think North Florida beats Austin Peay. The 5-seed North Florida wins this, and they move on to the next round. The second quarterfinal matchup is 9th-seed Kennesaw State versus the 1-seed Eastern Kentucky. Now, there's two outcomes here. We could have a huge upset, and we could have Kennesaw State beat Eastern Kentucky and move on. So that would be the 9th seed beating the 1 seed. But I think the more logical option here is the 1 seed Eastern Kentucky beating the 9th seed Kennesaw State and moving on to the next round. Then you got the 2 seed Stetson taking on the 7th seed Florida Gulf Coast. I think the 2 seed Stetson beats the 7th-seeded Florida Gulf Coast. Now, Florida Gulf Coast is a team that could make their dark horse. They are my dark horse to win the A-Sun tournament. But I think they lose to Stetson here. And the last quarterfinal matchup is Lipscomb, the 3 seed, versus the 6 seed North Alabama. And I think Lipscomb gets it done here, and they move on to the semifinals. So my semifinal matchups are the 5 seed North Florida and the 1 seed Eastern Kentucky, and the 3 seed Lipscomb and the 2 seed Stetson. So, and here's who I have winning. I think North Florida upsets Eastern Kentucky. So the 5 seed North Florida wins. And I think Lipscomb gets beat by the 2 seed Stetson. So that sets up an A-Sun championship game of the 5 seed North Florida versus the 2 seed Stetson. And everybody's saying the dark horse here is North Florida to win this conference. I like North Florida to win. I think there's 2 options here. I think either Stetson wins this conference or there's 3 teams in this conference. 1 being Eastern Kentucky, which everyone's going to pick. 2 being Stetson. 3 being North Florida. And I think Stetson's the one that's going to win the Atlantic Sun and get that one of those 16 seeds in the ASA in the big dance. It's not. No. If you give me 2 seconds, we will be right back with. Here we go. Here's my my final college basketball top 25 of the 2023-2024 season. At number 25, Dayton. Yes, they have slid. They have slid down the rankings a ton the last couple weeks. They kind of scare me in a way, but I feel like going into the conference tournament, they're going to be just fine. At number 24, Kansas State. Kansas State's another team that slid up the rankings, so they slid down. So I can't really grasp where they are firmly, but I still like Jerome Tang, and I think he's a really good head coach. At number 23, Cincinnati. Cincinnati's another Big 12 team in my rankings that I think is basketball, and I don't understand why people don't give them more credit. At number 22, Texas. Texas is another team. Played really well throughout the season. In the last couple of weeks, they've been picking it up, playing a lot better, and I think they've got a chance to maybe win the Big 12. My number 21 in my rankings, Gardner Webb. Gardner Webb's been in there 2 weeks in a row now. Look out for Gardner Webb in their conference tournament. I think they might win their conference. At number 20, Furman. The Paladins were at 17 last week. I moved them down a few spots. They had some spotty play in their last 2 games, but they won. But they didn't win by a lot. At number 19, Wake Forest. Wake Forest is another team that has been playing really well of late. They did upset Duke 2 weekends ago, and I really like Wake Forest. At number 18, making their debut in my rankings, is Toledo. Toledo has been one of the best schools in the MAC. They're number 2 in the MAC conference right now. At number 17 is North Carolina Wilmington. They're another team that's been consistent in my rankings the last 3 weeks. Whether it be 21, 20, or this week at number 17. I really like UNC Wilmington. At number 16, we've got North Carolina Greensboro. Yes, it's another North Carolina school, but I really like how they've been playing as of late, and they've surprised me how good they've been this year. At number 15, Georgia Tech. And if you don't know, I do these based on how the teams play. These rankings. But Georgia Tech's been playing well the last few weeks. And I enjoy watching a lot of ACC games, including theirs. At number 14, I know this is high for a team that was not ranked in my rankings last week, but it is Princeton. The Princeton men's basketball team has made their debut in my top 25 rankings. Princeton is really good at basketball. They're one of the 4 Ivy League schools that has already clinched a spot in the Ivy League tournament. At number 13, Ohio State. They were 11 last week. They're 4-1 under Coach Jake Diebler, and I think Ohio State could make a little mini run in the conference tournament. At number 12, Florida. The Gators are another team to me that is really amusing, and I had zero idea that they were going to be. I knew they were going to be good this year. I didn't think they were going to be this good. At number 11, Duke. Duke moved up 1 spot from last week. Duke is a team that they have their spurts where they're good, they're bad, they're good, they're bad. I think they're going to be just fine where they are. At number 10, Tennessee. I had to flip a couple things here with Kentucky and Tennessee, but I really like Tennessee, and you'll see my player of the week is a Tennessee basketball player. You will see that in a few minutes. At number 9, Kentucky. Kentucky's another team that's really good. But my problem with them is they should have beaten Arkansas. It held Arkansas under 100 points on Saturday. They gave up 100 points to Arkansas, which Arkansas is one of the worst teams in the SEC at basketball. That's not allowed. At number 8, Baylor. Baylor is a team that they're hard to figure out how good they actually are. At number 7, Tommy Lloyd in Arizona. Arizona is really good, ladies and gentlemen. I like Arizona. At number 6, South Florida. They are the regular season champs of the American Athletic Conference. If you told me I'd be saying that at the beginning of the season, I'd probably think you were crazy. But Coach Raheem, and you'll see here in a minute, I think he deserves a lot of credit for turning this team around in his first year. At number 5, Houston. Houston's another team that they're really good, but it's hard from time to time to tell where to really rank them. At number 4, Purdue. Purdue is the Big Ten. It looks like they're going to be the Big Ten regular season champions and probably they're going to get the 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament. But I would be worried if I was Purdue. Because if you get somebody like Ohio State who's already beaten you this year and you have to play them in the championship game or before that, you might lose. At number 3, Kansas. Kansas is really good in the Big 12. They're my prediction to win the Big 12 tournament. At number 2, North Carolina. North Carolina moved back 1 spot to number 2. I still like North Carolina a lot. They're one of my favorites for the ACC title. And number 1, UConn. UConn is really good, ladies and gentlemen. My players of the week, my AAC player of the week is Chris Youngblood. He had a big game on Sunday for USF. And to help them secure, no, Saturday, to help them secure their first AAC title in basketball in a long time. My Big Ten Player of the Week is Bruce Thornton, Ohio State. He had a big game, and Ohio State's win over their rival from up north, Michigan. My SEC Player of the Week, Zakai Ziegler from Tennessee. He had a big game in Tennessee's upset win over Alabama, which, if you didn't see my upsets that I posted on my community poll over the weekend for Saturday, what was one of the upsets? Tennessee over Alabama. And by the way, for those, we did go 24-25 on the week last week for our upset picks. And we had 16 out of 28, which is 60%. We went 60% on our picks, our upset picks for college basketball last week. But back to the Player of the Week. A stud Player of the Week it's not a North Florida guy. Surprisingly, it is KJ Johnson from North Alabama. KJ Johnson had a big game for North Alabama to help them 6th seed for the ASUN tournament. And my Player of the Week in the Big 12 is Kevin McCullough Jr. McCullough is really good for Kansas, and I enjoy watching him. My bold predictions this week for college basketball. Well, for conference tournament. 1, South Florida wins the AAC tournament and gets into the NCAA tournament as a 9th seed. Number 2 bold prediction. North Florida wins the Atlantic Sun tournament as a dark horse. Number 3, Ohio State or Purdue win the Big Ten tournament. And number 4, South Florida coach Amir Abdul-Rahim should be the AAC Coach of the Year. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a little bit of a scheduling update. Next Tuesday's show will not be at 11 o'clock. It will be at 9 a.m. Just thought I would let all my wonderful YouTube family know that next Tuesday's show is at 9 o'clock in the morning. Get your coffee, get up early, and watch the SportsTalk Podcast at 9 a.m. next Tuesday. But this SportsTalk Podcast does offer memberships. And for college football season breaking news, we will have an MVP section completely free. You will get upset picks for college football, game picks, bets, and sometimes watch parties. It is completely free. And I will be, like I've said before, I will be going to a college football game this year. End of August, middle to end of August is when I'm going to start posting teasers for where I'm going for my college football trip this year. With the CFB show and the SportsTalk Podcast. But ladies and gentlemen, that does it for today's show. I will see you back here tomorrow with another episode of the College Football Show. With your host, of course, me, Alec Pecano. But that does it for me today. Have a lovely rest of your day. I will catch y'all tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.